Hello there, welcome to Granada Reports. We're live with the news in the northwest.
Hello, here's what's on the programme this evening.
From the moment her parents knew of her existence, she has brought them nothing but happiness. And the life she has lived has been a true reflection of the love they have all shared together.
Elsie's special day. Hundreds gather to celebrate the life of the 7-year-old who died in the Southport stabbing. They're told she brought light, love and joy to so many.
Also this evening, a plea for public help after a young man was shot minutes after phoning his mum saying he was on his way home for tea.
Sadness because we've lost him and he was our world. Anger because someone thought that they can do this to him.
The wheelchair rugby heroes getting ready to go for gold again.
I'm in Liverpool to find out what a rocket launch, penicillin and the jacaranda all have in common.
And Storm Lillian caused much disruption for us today, but she's done with us now, just in time for the bank holiday weekend. The full forecast coming up.
First, the extraordinary girl remembered with balloons and bubbles. We start tonight with a celebration of the life of Elsie Stancombe.
Hundreds paid their respects to the 7-year-old at her funeral in Southport today. It was the final one of the 3 victims of last month's attacks.
The streets were decorated with pink ribbons and the church played one of her favourite Taylor Swift songs.
Rob Smith reports on what her family wanted to be known as Elsie's special day.
The brightest of horses and colours for the brightest of lives. Elsie Stancombe's family didn't want black as a dress code to celebrate her 7 years. A celebration attended by hundreds in Birkdale, her young cheerleading squad forming a guard of honour along a pink carpet into the church.
'Cause it led me back.
For a girl who loved music, it was performed in her honour throughout. Elsie adored helping her parents to choose songs to listen to at home. They wrote one of the tributes, read on their behalf.
She was loving, and kindness overflowed from her always. From the moment her parents knew of her existence, she has brought them nothing but happiness. And the life she has lived has been a true reflection of the love they have all shared together. The light she brought to your lives will never ever diminish. Her sparkle will always shine.
We've come to hear all about an extraordinary little girl, a precious daughter, who knew nothing but love and fun in her life. And a little girl who loved a big party. Her last birthday was an Elsie Fest, and today we are continuing that theme.
That theme filled the church and spilled onto the streets outside. Members of the emergency services and postal workers, just like Elsie Dot's dad, taking the most important of pauses from the day-to-day. Her teachers too shared stories of a girl who loved waiting for the school post to come.
It became Elsie's daily mission to spot Dad on his rounds, whether that be through the canteen window, near the school office, or on the Year 2 playground. Mrs Sinclair remembers waiting at the back of the class line with Elsie, pretending that it was really tricky to lock the gate so that Elsie could sneak an extra daddy cuddle. She'd always proudly tell everybody, "That's my dad, you know."
Sky's brighter looking at it through her eyes.
Mementos of a life too short flashed up for the congregation, a poem explaining how even more precious they are when no more can be created.
They say memories are golden. Well, maybe this is true. We never wanted memories. We only wanted you.
Her favourite Taylor Swift song was performed as her coffin was carried out. A girl whose death alongside 2 others at a dance class themed around her idol shocked her hometown, nation and beyond. Applause and bubbles saw Elsie Dott on her final trip through Southport, alongside the postal vans she so loved looking for. Rob Smith, ITV News.
Well, our reporter Anna Yosef was one of a handful of journalists who were inside the church. Anna, you must have got a real sense of Elsie's life and the dreadful impact of her loss on her family and the community in Southport.
I did, Zoe. Elsie's parents, Jenny and David, very kindly invited us to attend the service because they want people to know what a beautiful, intelligent, loving little girl their daughter was and the huge legacy that she's left behind. When I arrived, I was given this order of service which has this beautiful illustration of Elsie on the front. It shows her surrounded by daffodils and butterflies doing what she loved to do, which is dance. This was a service, this was a day that was filled with love as well as sadness. And, you know, you heard that there was even laughter. Elsie's former teacher spoke about the sassy girl who loved sparkly nail varnish and once brought a pair of glittery heels to school for her show and tell. She remembered a kind-hearted girl who always tried her best and loved performing. In the eulogy, we heard how Elsie lived her best life every single day, whether that was at home with her family or at school with her friends or even playing in the park with new children that she just met. She'd been excited to become a school counsellor because she really wanted to make a difference to the community. And listening to the tributes today in the church, it was clear that she already has.
And Anna, Elsie's parents, they released a statement and a new family photograph.
That's right. The family have shared a beautiful black and white photo that shows Elsie with her parents, Jenny and David, and her 3-year-old sister, Rosie. They said, "We are the 4 best friends in the whole wide world," and that mantra will remain with us for the rest of our lives. Her family said that the overwhelming response since her death showed the light, love and joy their daughter brought to people. They also thanked the community for their support and said that they were incredibly proud to live in Southport. They ended by saying that they would ensure Elsie's legacy and impact would endure with hope and positivity and that she would be by their side forever and always.
Anna Yosef in Southport, thank you.
Well, next, the government's chief legal advisor has told Granada Reports that people who commit serious crimes will still be sent to jail. The Attorney General visited Merseyside today to thank prosecutors for their work following the riots. It came as magistrates were asked to stop jailing criminals for several weeks to ease pressure on prisons.
One of those still to be jailed was Thomas Whitehead from Southport, who pleaded guilty to violent disorder in the town. He was arrested on a plane after arriving home from holiday.
We have inherited a real crisis in the prison service, with capacity often running at 99%. We took very quick action, indeed almost on our very first weekend in government, to put steps to alleviate that, and that's going to roll out. But we are very confident that anybody who commits a serious crime will find themselves in a cell.
So far across Merseyside and Cheshire, we have charged 55 people in relation to the disorder and some of the online hate crime that's been going on as well. Of those 55, 44 pleaded guilty, such was the strength of the evidence, and 31 of those have already been sentenced.
Moving on to more news now, and the mum of a 19-year-old who was killed as he cycled home on Merseyside has revealed he told her to warm up his tea 5 minutes before he was shot dead.
Ellis Cox died after being shot near the Liver Industrial Estate in Aintree. The gun used was a self-loading pistol.
Andrew Fletcher has our report this evening.
Kind, loving, loyal and funny. Ellis Cox's family say he was their world. 2 months since the 19-year-old was shot dead on his way back from a bike ride with friends. Ellis's mum can't accept that she'll never see his smile again.
I keep hoping to hear him singing in the shower like he do every day after work, or laughing on his PlayStation.
Moments before he was shot, Ellis had phoned his mum to tell her to warm up his tea as he was just 5 minutes from home.
I just think constantly of, what if he didn't go that way? What if I'd called him to come home earlier? What if I could hear the noise? I could have run to him because it was only so close to home.
Detectives think Ellis, who had no links to any criminality, was not the target of the shooting. They've made a number of arrests, but no one's been charged, and they've not recovered the gun that was used.
Part of this investigation is to identify a location for that firearm and take it off the streets. But obviously it's really important for me to remove the individuals who've got the capacity and are capable and actually want to use that firearm.
If they've got a conscience, they need to speak up, or their family members, if they know, they need to speak up because they're with their families, and I'm going home to my house without Ellis.
Carolyn says the people who are not telling the police what they know are just as bad as the people who shot Ellis. She's asking them to speak up so that she can get justice for her son. Andrew Fletcher, ITV News.
Bolton Food Festival will now only start tomorrow because of damage caused by Storm Lillian. It was supposed to get underway today, but 60-mile-an-hour winds overnight left a stage damaged and blew stalls over. Council workers were also told to stay home. In Hyde, a camera caught garden furniture being blown across someone's back garden and a tree being blown down the road after being uprooted.
Clatterbridge Hospital on Merseyside is taking part in the trial of a new vaccine that helps the immune system recognise and fight lung cancer. Researchers say the treatment could improve survival rates. They hope it could eventually become the standard of care worldwide. The trial will take place across 34 research sites in 7 countries.
Cyclists are once again set to get a preview of the Blackpool illuminations before the official switch on. Mel B will be flicking the switch on the famous Golden Mile next Friday, but the council has announced the Ride the Lights event is back on Tuesday. It sees the prom closed to cars and only cyclists allowed.
Great, Dave. I hope it's not too windy for the cyclists.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, OK, right now, here is Lucrezia with details of the ITV News a little later on.
Coming up, another hit for our pockets with energy prices set to rise again. Ofgems confirmed the price cap will go up by 10% in October. So what will that mean for your bills? Hundreds joined the family of Elsie Stancombe to remember and celebrate the life of the 7-year-old girl killed in Southport. And Storm Lillian wreaks havoc with 80-mile-per-hour winds. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
And from an emotional homecoming to a home debut for Arne Slot. On Sunday, the Dutchman takes charge of his first competitive match at Anfield as Liverpool face Brentford in the Premier League. Slot says he'll have zero nerves as he walks out to that famous roar, with the attendance expected to be double what he experienced at Ipswich last week.
I hope they are twice as loud as the Ipswich crowd, because the Ipswich crowd was really, really, really loud. So I'm hoping the fans can be twice as loud then as the Ipswich ones. That would be a big help for us. But no, I'm not nervous at all. Certainly not at this moment, because I'm in the middle of preparation, prepare the team.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
Now we continue the build-up to the Paris Paralympics, which get underway next week. You may remember at the Tokyo Games 3 years ago, one of the biggest stories was the success of Great Britain's wheelchair rugby team, who pulled in a massive TV audience on their way to gold. Well, now they're preparing to defend their crown, and Mike Hall went along to see them in training.
It's been described as chess with violence and bumper cars with a ball. This is wheelchair rugby, and is it any wonder it's one of the most popular sports at the Paralympics? In Tokyo 3 years ago, Great Britain beat the USA to win gold, inspired by players like Stuart Robinson, a former RAF corporal from Morecambe and one of the best players in the world.
Even looking back on it now, you still get the goosebumps. It was just an amazing feeling, because the fact that we'd won the gold medal after so many opportunities of coming so close and so far, And from a personal perspective, because I think about 8 years before I was laid in hospital wondering where am I going to go next with my life and my career and stuff like that, and to be there on the court in Japan and winning that gold medal was just a surreal moment.
And then an MBE came. Tell me the story.
Yeah, so it wasn't my first thought when the letter came through the post with the official crown and the emblem on the outside of the envelope. And my initial thought was that I was getting a speeding ticket, which I'm not quite used to getting. But yeah, when I opened it, it was a great surprise.
This team's incredible performances helped make wheelchair rugby one of the biggest hits of the Tokyo Paralympics. Nearly 1.5 million people tuned in to see Great Britain win gold, and now these players are ready to ignite that excitement all over again.
I think wheelchair rugby captured the nation's interest because it's a team sport, but also no other sport looks like it. The smashing and the crashing of the chairs and the emotion, the range of inclusive elements of it, just that camaraderie. I think you don't see that in other sports.
And it's a sport that's providing a lifeline for so many. Participation is up 30% since Tokyo, with new faces forcing their way into the British squad, including Crew's Kieran Flynn.
I played rugby union in 2013. I was injured in a tip tackle. Obviously lifted upside down, dropped on my head, broke my neck in 3 places and suffered a spinal cord injury. At that time life looked quite bleak. I ballooned up to like 21 stone, and obviously when I found wheelchair rugby, that sort of gave me a purpose in life again. And for me, I guess it's all about overcoming obstacles, and everybody's got their own journey, but obviously with a bit of hard work and determination you can achieve anything.
Also in the 12-strong squad is Chester's Dan Kellett. In 2012, Dan suffered a spinal injury when he was thrown from and then crushed by a tractor.
When I was in hospital, an ex-wheelchair rugby player came and see me and said, "Do you fancy coming up and going at wheelchair rugby?" I was still laid flat on my back.
Was that the last thing you needed at that point?
It was at the moment, so yeah. I kind of just shut off and said, oh yeah, but he kept coming back week after week to bring me along.
12 years on, and Dan is heading to the Paralympics. A proud moment for him, wife Jess, and their 3 young children.
The last 6 months they've started to realise Daddy's going away to play rugby. He's going to the Paralympics, so they go to nursery at the minute. They're telling everyone at nursery I've been selected for the Paralympics, so that's nice to hear.
The action gets underway on the 29th of August. Brace yourself for lots more of this as these rugby heroes go for gold again. Mike Hall, ITV News in Leigh.
Yes, as Mike said, the wheelchair rugby begins on Thursday with Great Britain getting things underway against the old rivals Australia.
Do you know what? Great sport to watch that, isn't it, Chris? Really enjoyed all the Paralympics previews.
Well, next week we hear from our greatest ever Paralympian, Dame Sarah Story, next week.
Brilliant.
Stay tuned for that.
Can't wait for that.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers.
Well, now, they started out with humble beginnings in Liverpool and ended up as the biggest band in the world. Any guesses who we might be talking about?
Let me have a long think about that. It is, of course, the Beatles. And although the dedicated fans among you will be well aware of the role of the jacaranda in the band's history, it remains relatively unknown to the wider fan base.
But that could be about to change, because this evening a World Origin side plaque is being unveiled at the venue where the band first played.
Right, let's cross live to our reporter Emma Sweeney, who's there for us. And Emma, a historical night.
It absolutely is. They just unveiled that plaque a short time ago here to a full house, so full in fact that it's just overspilled onto the road. Let me just put this into context for you. They don't just give out these plaques. They are saved for groundbreaking events that have helped to shape the modern world. So there's one, for instance, at the site where the first rocket was launched. There's one at the site where penicillin was discovered. And now there's one here in Liverpool where the Beatles first played. Let me just bring in Leah Williams, whose father founded this place. This is amazing.
It's amazing. It's so lovely to see so many people down here now in 2024. Mum, Dad, Alan and Beryl, they opened this space in the late 50s, early 60s. It was a place to go then. Seems like it's a place to go now. And it's really lovely to see the Zootons are playing, and it's just lovely to know that their kind of memory is carrying on through the old business.
And you were too young when the Beatles played here.
Definitely.
But did your dad talk about the Beatles and your mum?
Yeah, Dad talked about them constantly. Dad talked about them all around the world to anybody who would listen. Mum is very much more family orientated. There's lots of family here tonight, and But it was their business. They kept it going together. She was the one doing all the work, probably.
Thank goodness for that. Thank you for talking to us. Well, from the past to the present, let me bring in Graham, who's the managing director here. What a great night.
Yeah, the response to this has been absolutely incredible. We never know what to expect when we do events like this and how many people are going to turn up. But it's been quite something.
And we just casually got the Soutons there in the background.
Yeah.
But also you're really keen on grassroots music as well. It's important, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think when we first got involved in the Jacaranda, we felt that was sort of the most important thing, was to keep it focused on grassroots music and giving bands a chance for the very first time. And then even in the last year or so, we've had bands who've had some of their very first ever gigs here who are now having charting albums.
About 400 gigs a year, I believe.
It's a lot of gigs, yeah. We always have at least 5 gigs a week here, and then we do gigs in venues all across Liverpool, and we have another site, a bigger site over in the Baltic, where we do even bigger shows.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you for allowing us in to witness this historical moment. Well, it wasn't just the Jacaranda where the Beatles played. They did several gigs at the Casbah Club. Now, that is in a basement of a family home in West Derby, and it also belonged to the original drummer of the Beatles. He was a member of that family. Anyway, they have just turned that house into an Airbnb, and I went along to see it for myself.
It's almost an ordinary house with a quite extraordinary past. And it's all thanks to Mona Best, the mother of Merseybeat, who in 1959 transformed the basement of her family home into a place where everyone wanted to be.
This dream had come alive, this dream that she wanted to bring music to the kids of Liverpool. And I was actually seeing it happening in front of my own eyes. I was standing in the audience like a starry-eyed kid, watching bands play.
But it wasn't long before Pete Best himself played in one of those bands. The Quarrymen had been given a residency at the club. They later became known as the Beatles, with Pete as the original drummer.
It was great. It was a great place to be, great place to socialise. It was a fun place, it brought a lot of fun. But that's what Mona wanted. She wanted a place, safe haven for the kids of Liverpool to come and enjoy live music.
Now, the minute you walk into this place, you're left in no doubt that it is steeped in history. This is where all the music happened, it's where all the magic took place. But also look carefully at the artwork, because you'll find that some of it was done by Lennon, McCartney and Harrison.
You'd see the Aztec ceiling that John Lennon painted. You'd see the rainbow ceiling McCartney painted, the salmon ceiling that Harrison painted, Spider's Web I painted.
And for Beatles superfans, there's good news. This Grade 2 listed building has just been developed into an Airbnb with 5 separate apartments for each of the Beatles that played and stayed there from 1960 to 62.
Now, Pete, we're walking into the Lennon suite here.
Yeah.
My money is on the fact that I reckon this will be the most popular room. I don't know about you.
It's debatable. Lennon, because of the history of Lennon and, what he stands for, world peace and everything. But each room has their own followers. They're all part of Beatle history.
Beatle history that may never have even existed if it wasn't for one woman who dared to dream.
She hadn't pawned the jewellery and betted on Never Say Die, which won the Derby. She wouldn't have acquired the money to buy this wonderful house, 8 Hayman's Green. If she hadn't bought the house, we wouldn't have opened the Casbah. If there'd been no Casbah, there may have been no Quarrymen. If there were no Quarrymen, there may have been no Beatles.
And on it goes. Emma Sweeney, ITV News, Liverpool.
Brilliant. Go on, do your gag.
Let it Airbnb.
Perfect. Love it. Here's the weather now with Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, very good evening to you. Well, Storm Lillian is now well away to the east, just in time for the long bank holiday weekend, but did cause plenty of disruption this morning. The strongest gust was recorded in Crosby at 7 a.m, 70 miles an hour. However, the winds have been easing ever since, but there were lots of trees down, rail and road routes affected. The M6 was affected, and also numerous smaller roads by fallen trees and branches. The bank holiday weekend is looking a lot better weather-wise, however, still very mixed, and we could have some strong winds still at the coast, gusts of 45 miles an hour on Sunday. It will be a lot better, however, by Monday. It's looking a lot better than we previously thought it was going to be. So taking a closer look, yes, some frontal systems will move through over the weekend, bringing showers at times. It will be quite changeable and a bit unsettled as well, but pressure building over the continent there is going to block this low pressure system from the west, which we were expecting on Monday. So actually it's looking mostly fine and dry on Monday, with a warming trend through the new week. Over the next few hours, some late sunshine on offer, and overnight clear spells and a few showers moving through. Temperatures, nothing to write home about. Light winds, a little bit breezier across the Isle of Man through the Irish Sea. Tomorrow morning, the sun is up at 6:06, and it's going to be a case of bright spells and a few showers. Now, some of these could be heavy, and also there may be a rumble of thunder in there too, but through the afternoon, as the day wears on, there is a decreasing shower risk. Those temperatures down on today's values. A breezy day, but nothing like as windy as it has been over the last 24 hours. A cool night into Sunday, wet for west-facing hills, gusty at the coast, like I say. Monday, a fine day with lighter winds and warming up after that. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
That is Granada Reports so far today.
Now, if you've been affected by anything over the past 3.5 weeks, by any of the events surrounding those tragic deaths in Southport, there are resources, help and advice on our website, itv.com/Granada.
For now, thanks for watching.
Thank you
Good
for
night.
watching. Bye-bye.